Hey there subscribers, it's PC the Unicorn. With Season 2 of The Owl House right around the corner, I figured I'd rewatch Season 1 to refresh my memory and share my thoughts on it. This video will contain spoilers for Season 1, so if you haven't seen Season 1 yet, you have been warned. Now when The Owl House was first announced, I remember being pretty intrigued by the premise of the series. Said premise being that it revolves around human teenager Luz Naceda ending up in the magical world known as the Boiling Isles, where she becomes the apprentice of a witch named Ida in order to become a witch herself. While I do have a fair number of issues with the show, I want to get into the good first since there are a few enjoyable things about the show. One of those things being how amazing the Owl House looks visually. The colors are very vibrant and colorful, which makes everything really pop out. This is especially nice whenever the show decides to have beautifully animated moments, such as the amazing choreographed Lumity dance or the epic battle between Ida and Lilith in Agony of a Witch. The show is also hilarious since I found myself laughing a lot during my rewatch of the season. While part of it is because it has the same kind of dark humor as Gravity Falls, I think what really helps is the line delivery from the VAs since they make simple lines sound hilarious. I say the ones who are especially good at that are the VAs for Gus, Ida, King, and Amity. Speaking of characters, some of the standout characters besides the one I mentioned are Amity's siblings and Lilith. Though if I had to pick a favorite among all of them, it'd definitely be Ida. She's a confident and sassy witch who doesn't give a hoot about breaking the law, but is also a major softie at heart. While I adore her relationship with Luz and King, her relationship with Lilith is especially great since despite butting heads, you can tell the love is there between the two sisters and how despite being the more composed sister, Lilith clearly shares some of Ida's qualities such as her competitiveness and cockiness. And even though we didn't get to see much of him, rewatching this season reminded me of how dang creepy Emperor Bellis is between his omnipotence over his castle and ruthless personality disguised under a calm voice. Now while the first season is mostly slice of life, with us getting to learn about the Boiling Isles, meeting characters, and seeing how Luz learns magic, a big ongoing plot thread is Ida cursed and the mystery of who cursed her. Many fans speculated over who could have cursed Ida, with suspects including Bellows, Bat Queen, and Bump, but Agony of a Witch revealed that the one responsible was none other than Lilith. This reveal is a mixed bag for me. Now the idea of Lilith being the one who cursed Ida isn't a bad one, and it did blow my mind when it was first revealed, but the problem with the twist is how it contradicts the relationship we've seen up to this point. Again, the show made it clear that despite driving her crazy, Lilith truly does care for her sister. So to show all those sweet moments between the two makes the reveal feel jarring, but for the wrong reason. It gets even weirder since to me at least, it feels like the season finale tried to make the audience feel bad for Lilith. Sure, she didn't mean to permanently curse Ida, but she still cursed her regardless of the fact. I'm about to compare Lilith's action to a character from Amphibia, so if you haven't seen the season 2 finale or just haven't seen Amphibia yet, click on this timestamp so you can avoid spoilers. This kind of betrayal worked much better in Amphibia with Marcy. Even though it was a long shot, Marcy took the chance to transport herself, Sasha, and Anne to another world so that she wouldn't lose her two best friends before not even considering how they'd feel about it. What she did was just as messed up as what Lilith did, but unlike Lilith's, Marcy's betrayal lined up with what we saw of her, and her reasoning for doing so make her more sympathetic. I get what the show was trying to do with Lilith in the sense that it's a character trying to fix a mistake they made many years ago, but it just doesn't work here. It also doesn't help that at the end of the season, Ida, King, and Luz are all seemingly cool with her, though maybe season 2 will change that. Another issue I have with the first season is how it handles Amity's character progression and her relationship with Luz. Like I said in my Lumity ship analysis video, it feels like the show was really rushing through Amity's character progression in order to do a romance with Luz, since in the span of 5 episodes, we went from Amity hating Luz to becoming a blushing disaster around her. While I do love their dynamic, Amity's transition from antagonist to friend should have been stretched out further in season 1, with Amity becoming a disaster around Luz happening in season 2. Speaking of Luz, a complaint I've heard from some people about her is how the initial premise of the show is supposed to be how Luz is a weird girl who doesn't fit in at home, yet she isn't that weird. Now obviously what is considered weird is subjective, with everyone having their own interpretation of what that means, but I do kind of get where they're coming from. The first episode defines her level of weirdness as being enthralled with fantasy, a fan of anime, and just having an overactive imagination. Now back in the past, people may have been viewed as weird for liking these kind of things, but because of how nerd culture has taken off in the past 2 decades, it's not really viewed in a negative light that much anymore. Heck, when I was Luz's age, I saw plenty of teenagers playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering in high school. So to frame these common interests as her being a weirdo is strange. Obviously, I'm not saying that there aren't people who would view people like Luz weird in real life, but it is strange to equate normal interests and quirks to being weird. It especially doesn't work with the whole being a weirdo is okay message they were going for in the first episode, since Luz meet prisoners who are imprisoned for doing weird things, yet those weird things don't seem particularly weird when compared to the weirdness of the Boiling Isles. To be clear, I do like Luz, and I understand that the show was simply trying to tell younger viewers that it's okay to like those things, but if anything, she's more of an optimistic and pokey girl than the weirdo the show tried presenting her as. Honestly, characters like Mabel and Webby embody the weird protagonist trope better than Luz. Adding on to the show not delivering on the actual premise, there's the fact that despite being Ida's apprentice, Luz ends up going to magic school. This in turn also ties into the show's identity problem, since it seems like it can't decide if it wants to be a subversion of the fantasy story or a homage. After all, the second episode, Witches Before Wizards, was all about deconstructing the Chosen One and magical quest trope, with Luz learning from Ida that she has to choose the kind of life she wants to live, not wait for some prophecy to tell her. Now it seemed like the episode, I Was a Teenage Abomination, was meant to serve a similar purpose in which Luz wouldn't go to Hexside, yet she ends up attending the school 10 episodes later. Like if Luz was always going to go to school, why even have it in the show premise that Luz would be Ida's apprentice, along with not just having Luz go to school from the get-go? And this really isn't a critique, but I am confused about how demons and witches are classified. Like yeah, if you have a bile sac, you're a witch, but while some witches look like humans, others could easily be mistaken for demons. Heck, Barkus is basically a dog, yet he isn't a demon like King because he can do magic. Hopefully season 2 will clear this up. Despite all my critiques about it, I do think that the first season of The Owl House is at least solid. Sure, a lot of things could have been better handled, but the show still entertained me, I'm invested in the story and characters, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Funnily enough, as I was recording this, The Season 2 trailer finally dropped and it looks much more epic in scale compared to Season 1. So I'm definitely optimistic that Season 2 will be an improvement on the show. But what did you think of Season 1 of The Owl House? Did you have any favorite episodes? I know some of mine are Witches and Wizards, Understanding Willow, and Agony of a Witch. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell so you'll be notified when I make a new video. If you want to follow me on social media, you can find the links to them in the description box below. Until next time, this is PC logging off.